did another stream on this subject, escaping domestic abuse, job, charity, freelancing, and I completely missed a section that I was driving to thinking about the subject, which is just acting and communicating while you're broken. And people don't necessarily know that they're experiencing domestic abuse until they're out of it, and thus they don't necessarily know that they're broken until they're out of it. And then once you're out of it, you don't really want to talk about it anymore, right? So you just want to get it by you. Like, I don't know, people just who haven't been in it just like know they want to know, they're curious, and so it's not malicious or anything, but they just want to know, and meanwhile you just want to move on, but you've got to like explain yourself all the time. So yeah, I just put together a playlist called Homeless Data Project, so that's where this type of video will be. And then Hogumadi is the open source stuff that I'm doing. So yeah, I know you have to subscribe to a whole channel and not necessarily playlists, but hey, let's pump up some of my work for a second then. Yeah, being that's the case, and my Feeds app supports YouTube playlists, so I've got Hogumadi, and these ones are reversed from the source stream. Alright, that for some reason it defaults to the last cover image that I did, that's why I keep having repeat cover images. But yeah, so it's in reverse, and then I added Homeless Data Project. So bottom to top, when you play it on YouTube, it'll be in the normal order. So tools, food, receipts, processing, cost of accountability, hyping myself up in the basement, getting a job with domestic violence, Midwestern haters, startup, escaping domestic abuse startup. This one is like half Hogumadi, half just my living situation, my couch surfing situation, and then the one I just did. So yeah, I mean, obviously I had skills and whatnot, but so now, like, specifically what triggered this is I let my DMs fill up. So like on Instagram, I've got a ton of unread DMs. On YouTube, on Twitter, my DMs go unread. My email often goes unread. My phone often goes without service. My texts go without response. You know what I'm saying? Like, why is this? It's extremely hard to communicate with people I used to know, because they knew me in a different place, almost as a different person. And I like to, you know, get a lot of my old tweets over the years factored into this. This is where, like, having a producer, somebody to help me, social media manager, somebody to help me, or tools or whatever, would be great. And in a way, the tools that I'm making sort of help. But I'm not, like, I am the same person, and in fact I'm more of a person in a lot of ways. But kind of like we talked about, like, the empath narcissism spectrums, like, it's not just one axis, but it's like several, you know, maybe several elements of the axis or whatever. Like, in some ways, like, not responding to my DMs is super narcissistic. Why do I do it? To conserve my energy. Because in addition to just old friends, there's also, you know, critics or so-called haters going through those same channels. Through, like, email, I'm constantly saying, oh, your account is past due, your account is closed. You know, I'm getting, like, what I feel are trick emails. scams, possibly by people I used to know, possibly by creditors, possibly by, private investigators. People say, hey, let's meet up, and it's like, I don't know who you are, or hey, so many instances, and I'd love to catalog them as part of the Homeless Data Project. So is this saying that I have thin skin? I can't just ignore that kind of stuff? My discernment says not to respond to certain scams, but then people want to say that, I refuse to go to work or something. It could be this, the people are literally sending me scam emails, not knowing that I'll be able to feel that they're scams. They might just, there were these people, there was this time when I got text messages saying that they were from this recruiting company, and I looked up the recruiting company, and there was no indication that they're a real company online. And they were just being so rude and pushy and manipulative that I'm I don't want to deal with a recruiter like this. But then, I have critics who are old childhood friends who might be oh yeah, I tried to get him a job, and then send me some scam recruiting things and be to test me and be oh, see, he's not even responding to this recruiter. But it's I've described it on Twitter as just or maybe in my notes, as just ham-fisted. It's the worst. It's you can get a screenshot of it and convince blue-collar people that factually he's not responding to recruiters, when I pretended to be a recruiter. But it's I feel the weird vibes coming through the text message. It's just it's so off. This isn't how a recruiter talks to people, It's almost I want to respond back and be if you want to, do a better job as a recruiter, you can retain me as somebody who's worked with a lot of recruiters and can give you feedback and help you with the process, maybe the data aspects, and implement some tools, this freelance stuff. If you're a legit recruiter, you've got a lot of growth to do. But yeah, so communicating when you're broken, it's and then you're living with somebody who's, you're walking on eggshells around them because they're constantly triggered, or they're constantly trying to put you in your place or whatever, what they think your place is. And so it's you're the average of the 5 people around you, and the 5 people around you are your relative who you're not paying rent to, who thinks that they can abuse you and treat you like a slave for that reason, or whatever reason they're doing it. Maybe that reason, makes you look bad to the rest of the relatives by saying, maybe technically true, but not spiritually true things about you. Not saying, knowing that your relatives are watching your social media, knowing that your relatives are filling up your inbox. So it's I don't even check the DMs. I just see the count go up, 5, 6, 7. And it's just I want to check the DMs. I want to get back to people, but it's 5 times out of 6, it's a relative or something like that, saying, I don't even read their messages anymore. It's just oh, you should, it's just, I can feel the anger, they're just haters. And I know that's a weird word to use, but, in the sense of this video that I did on the Homeless Data Project channel, Midwestern Haters and Human Sacrifice, Witchcraft, my relatives are part of a religious cult called Jehovah's Witnesses, and, I was told that the relative that I'm staying with was never part of that church, but obviously, their siblings and cousins and half-siblings and whatnot, they all grew up together. They all seem to know what I'm doing or be concerned about me or this and that, even though there's not a reason to. So in a sense, it is a form of mobbing from my relatives who, and did the relative that I'm staying with grow up with a parent in that cult, you know, because if they did, like, they seem to share similar values. Like, Jehovah's Witness whole thing is like, well, the new system is coming, so we don't have to worry about anything, hence we can just, like, let our stuff fall to crap. Why should we spend resources keeping our stuff nice, you know? Then, like, I don't know the whole history, if, like, whether there was, like, single mother or welfare or whatever. You know, I get the impression that there was, like, multiple father figures, some domestic situations, but I don't press for details. So it's like the combination of the relative being potentially a welfare child, potentially a victim or, you know, survivor of narcissistic abuse who then became a narcissist or extremely narcissistic themselves, and the religious cult aspect of it where, you know, at very least there's a bunch of cult members, you know, watching me, possibly that spirit in the relative themselves. So this is supposed to be about communication. So it's like, I've become so, like, I have not been bullied or anything for most of my life. And so, yeah, it is a new situation to me. Like, when I started getting bullied by my boss at work for the first time, and I'm never gonna go into details about that story. I'm just saying it happened, you know? Like, that was the first time I really started connecting, like, it feels kind of like I'm in my family growing up again, and, like, this person has this role, and this person has this role, and I started learning about narcissistic abuse. And that's, like, to me, it's just so intertwined with domestic abuse. That's why I keep kind of going back to narcissist, because it's like, you know, narcissist is given over to a reprobate mind. A narcissistic trait is basically a demon, because one vessel can have legion of demons in it. So a narcissist is made up of, like, tons of narcissistic traits or demons. We don't necessarily have to be talking about disembodied spirits who are, you know, trying to get the pleasure of living through the flesh of a weak vessel, but, you know, it's like effectively the same thing. So, yeah, I mean, even just feeling like I'm too weak to look at my DMs and email, like, and knowing, another thing too is it's just like the helpless feeling of, like, this bill is due, I don't have money to pay this bill. Like, I've already, like, reached out to everybody to, like, get money to help paying bills, and it's just, I feel terrible doing that because it's not in my normal demeanor, and character is demeanor plus reputation, so each time I do it, my reputation's kind of going down. And then, like, I've had a friend, like, help me out by lending me money, and it's like, now I've got, like, interest on the money, and, you know, throughout pandemic, I've been borrowing money that I have to pay back, so it's like, now I start a minimum wage job, and, you know, this is going outside of the subject of communication a little bit, but it's just to say that, like, I start to feel like I just need to get a new name. Like, when I first experienced the situation with my employer, someone said, oh, you need to change your name. And it's almost like they were wise beyond comprehension at that time. This is like, you know, 4 or 5 years ago, 5, 6, whatever years ago. And now it's like, I feel like I am not the person who everybody knows or knew anymore. And plus, like, pandemic, you know, just using this excuse of pandemic, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's made everybody feel like not really themselves. And it's like, people have probably come through it either stronger or far weaker. I feel like I've come through it a lot stronger. And I haven't even seen the people that I used to know since pandemic, like years ago. Like, even being in the Midwest, like, I have only seen one person who I used to know who was, like, a super good friend before college, in college. She went to the same school as me. But it's like, we met up once and then she basically ghosted, and I don't know, you know? And, like, one other friend wished me a happy birthday, and, like, I know she's got kids and everything now, so, you know, and my phone's just been shut off for months since, like, June. So, hate DMing. That's another thing too, is just like, my day is way before texting, and so like I never really got into texting, and a few times I have got into texting, I feel like it's just like totally ruined the situation, when it's really just been a catalyst for a situation that's already been ruined. I know, like, I'm not blaming texting. Like, if I was blaming texting, it would be my job to get better at it, and like, I'd rather just do phone calls. But then it's like, yeah, my voicemail, like, I've been getting tons of tons of phone calls too, where it's like, I don't know the number, so I just like ignore that. So I'm in the pattern of just ignoring my phone. I get voicemails, from unknown numbers, I don't check them, so it's like filling up my voicemail box. It's just like, I'm like, someday I'll listen to these messages and discern what's good and what's bad, but like my energy is so low that I just don't. And so, it's like, what I really need is just, like, when I was able to just go to work, not have to explain anything, it didn't matter as I lived in my car, I was able to save money. Like, I just need to be a productive member of society. But like, I can't do it while I'm staying here. Like, I need to like move into a van or something, and then drive to some city, and then get a job and live in my van, and just become myself again. Well, you are who you are. Like, I know, but it's like, I'm not who I want to be, and I've been who I want to be, and I kind of know the steps I need to take to be who I want to be. And like, I don't know if I would deal with myself, like, who I want to be would want to deal with me right now. Like, there's, the underlying thing is discernment. Like, I think people who I want to be in contact with can discern, but it's like, I'm just really like begging for money, and like, I never used social media before 2018. Like, I was on it, and I was a developer of social media. Like, I like to develop social media, but not necessarily use social media. Like, I did grow up on like IRC and stuff, chatting with people, but like, we met in real life, and it was like people who I knew in real life, so it was just like an add-on. Like, I wasn't going online. Like, I did make some friends on IRC, but like, we did end up meeting up eventually. Like, and this is like in high school, before I was old enough to drive or anything like that. So it's like, it's just a different time. Like, saying like, I'm regressing into saying like a lot. I swear, I was over saying like for so long, but I'm, regressing in some ways. I'm not the person that I want to be, and so like, communicating with me is going to be super hard. And I can only speak for myself, but I'm guessing probably a lot of people who are under domestic abuse, like, if they know that they're under it, they can be conscious that they're not who they want to be. And so it's going to be, especially if they got into a relationship within like the last 5 years, and they've become a totally different person, they might feel like a deep sense of shame in reaching back out to people who they haven't talked to for 5 years. Like, I think we all kind of know the stereotype of like the girl who gets a boyfriend and then stops talking to all her friends, and then breaks up with the boyfriend and then starts talking with her friends again. Who knows why that is, but it may be that, so yeah, there might be like a factor of codependence in there too, but that factor of codependence might mean that she ends up with a narcissist. Like, I think there's a difference between withdrawing and being isolated. So it's like,
Alright, the bits are flowing again. So there's a good chance the audio is messed up in this now. That means I was rambling without touching the keyboard enough. So, yeah, I just did a long stream today too, so what else do I have to say? I just wanted to say that, like, this is an important element of the last talk that I completely missed. It's just, like, how you feel and how that affects communication in various ways. Like, you're trying to reset, establish some boundaries, and it manifests in ways like ignoring DMs from people for a long time, and then you kind of like start to feel worse because you have to explain why you were gone, and then you send one message, and then you disappear again, etc. So I could resume where I left off, but it's like 75-80%